Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Thank you for coming back and bringing your energy here today. It is always a pleasure and an honor. I know it's been a hot minute again. Actually sat down to do this 3 times, but it always seemed like something, noises set in or duties called and that sort of thing. So I kind of attribute that to the collective energy, of the holidays. Just, those last minute calls, those spontaneous swings to see someone or change your plans. And so I just kind of have been going with the flow of it. um, Today's message is about a meandering path, right? Um, it's that path that we walk and we really don't see what's around the next turn. And it is one that requires flow. Um, this one, this is someone, Spirit actually woke me up. Let me start here. Spirit actually woke me up. um, and I had to write everything down. It was just one of those moments where this message was coming through as I was drifting off to sleep, and there was no holding off. Um, I had to get up and kind of write it down. And I wanted to read through what came to me, um, because it applies to the reading, obviously, the cards that I had pulled. And one of the things that they said was your alchemy skills are next level. You are a divine being of light. And it was brought through in an almost reassuring and comforting energy, almost as though some may be looking for a sort of validation that they are on the right path. And anyway, I'll go ahead and start. I'll go ahead and start with what I received. So this is someone whose alchemy is next level. Someone who has an understanding of the law of polarity or has been learning this law of polarity and the importance of both dark and light, love and fear, masculine and feminine, the conscious and subconscious, the inner and outer, giving and receiving. It is an energy of one who has experienced the process of letting go, and possibly more than once. It's one who has learned that there is a doorway into the soul, and that while we can try to burn it down in anger and pride, and try to use our minds to unlock it, and we can try to use our might and strength to knock it down, or cry rivers of sorrow and pain in an attempt to wash it away in the floods. Truly, the doorway to the soul is through the heart. And this is someone who understands that all the elements, inner and outer, are as a sea of endless potential. This is what Spirit was showing me as this was coming through. It was like a sea, and like being in an ocean, right? Just as far as you could see. And there were little tiny fishes all around. I mean, moving my arms through it, all these little tiny fishes were just everywhere. And Spirit was showing me that this is a sea of endless potential, right? And that these elements, these four elements that we are so accustomed to living in, they carry this endless potential, with each one bending at our command. And Spirit was saying, one must use great care, wisdom, and love in commanding these elements as we feel into the depths of this sea of endless potential. And to allow the rapids to carry us into the still waters and be at peace when those around us are not. So it tells me that there are many who are coming from a place of possibly like turmoil, that tower energy that just seems to have everything around falling down, right? So coming out of that energy, being led and guided at peace, in peace. And this is an inner knowing which comes from the experience of both polarities. Someone who is finding or has found that delicate balance between them, between those polarities, which allows one to create with the universe within and manifest a life which many envy and many never thought possible. So it's coming out of this energy. Maybe some have been surrounded by an energy of envy or jealousy, and they've felt those projections, right? Especially for someone who has walked away from or let go of a lot. Like I get this feeling, it reminds me of a time when I literally packed up and left everything I knew, everything. It was that blank slate moment. It was that, you know what? I can't change anything or anyone around me, but by God, I can change myself. And I had found a place of peace within me that surpassed all of the chaos that was going on around me. And I had to remove myself from all of that chaos just so that I could know my own energy, just so I could know that if I felt anxious, if I felt scared, if I felt doubt or worry, that it was actually me, that it wasn't something lingering from a conversation that I'd had with someone that morning or that evening, or that it wasn't, it allowed me to be in that space where I didn't feel as though there were so many doorways or entryways from outside influences, if that makes sense. So this kind of gives me that energy. And at that time in my life, as crazy as it looked to everyone around me, and I mean, I could totally understand too. When I looked around, I knew, I'm like, my God, I know this looks crazy. But the freedom that I felt, the freedom, the peace, the relief that I felt after having taken that leap of faith into the unknown that was me, just, it outweighed all of the negativity. It outweighed the fears. It outweighed the um anxiety or the worries of not knowing, because there was a knowing, there was a peace that I felt within, a freedom that I felt within. And at that moment, there was nothing in this world worth giving that away for. And so I didn't look back. And today I can say I'm so grateful that I didn't. Um, I wouldn't know the light that is within me and has always been within me to the degree that I do today, had I stayed in that place of turmoil. Um, I don't know if that resonates, but I'll go ahead and continue, because spirit is really showing this energy of a collective who is coming into a oneness, a wholeness, a unity that is co-creating with the universe in harmony, in peace. Um, because there have been so many who have tried to burn your door down, flood it with sorrow and pain, pushing it with all of their might, all while blowing smoke to blind you from seeing the way through. And yet you listened quietly, observing each moment in silence, allowing your heart to guide you and be your voice. Even when the waves threatened to capsize you, you stood firm in your faith, knowing that this too shall pass, moving with integrity, honor, grace, and humility. Whoever this is not a boastful person, though you have every reason to. This is not someone who needs validation, recognition, or even acceptance. Though those things are nice, it is not a requirement, because this person, through it all, knows they have a greater purpose. This is someone who is moving forward with a knowing of a purpose and a passion, even though what's around the next turn isn't clear. And so, though spirit is wanting you to know that you are on the right track, have faith. Remember, this is not your first rodeo. You are holding divine blueprints within you. And at this time, your alchemy skills are taking those divine blueprints to a whole new level. So there may be some who are just realizing this now, or who will be realizing this, and perhaps feeling unsure at this time. And Spirit is confirming that yes, you have succeeded. Do not doubt yourself. It's been a long road, and while you may have discovered or uprooted many hidden truths that were deeply painful, let them go with grace. This time around, you're not trying to blow the door down. You simply surrendered to the flow and are allowing Spirit to carry you through. And now here you are on this seemingly meandering path where the road winds and curves through the trees and over the hills, not truly knowing exactly what's around each curve. But as you walk, a path into a new beginning, a place of wonder and awe will be revealed. And what does that look like? Nothing you have ever seen before. This is the words that Spirit gave me. Now, while there may have been some who worked in silence against you, and this is kind of that karmic understanding that I feel like Spirit was bringing through, that while there were some who worked against you, manipulating others into deceiving you even, or casting negative energies intended to destroy you or bring that light down, to put out that light. Some of these, I feel a sense of guilt, or it's like I saw someone, it was like almost in prayer position saying, I'm sorry, right? I'm going to try to bring all of these together in a way that makes sense. But it was a sense of remorse. And Spirit came in and said, yet they still chose to deny the truth. So while they may feel this sense of loss over your leaving, it's like they were given multiple opportunities to make it right and still chose to sit in that darkness secretly, hoping that maybe no one would notice or see them for who they truly were. And it's like leaving without all the answers, leaving without the physical, tangible evidence, if that makes sense. But Spirit said the moment you walked away, cut those ties and energetic cords, it activated, okay? It activated those divine blueprints, and it activated the wheel of fortune to turn in your favor. And as the wheel turns, these energies that are being walked away from are faced with the intentions, the illusions, the projections that they had been casting. Because see, and I feel I'm speaking to a collective that understands that we create our own experiences, right? And this collective is walking away from another collective who does not understand that. And we can resonate with that space because we were there ourselves once. And so we're not holding any judgment. We're not carrying forward any condemnation for that space. It's just that our understanding, our consciousness has expanded to a point where we know these are not the elements that we need to use to manifest that higher timeline, to activate those divine blueprints, right? Um, so it activated the wheel of fortune in your favor. And as the wheel turns, those old energies are faced with the illusions and the projections that they had been casting and the experience that they had been creating. The thing is, instead of creating love where love did not exist, they were creating envy, jealousy, strife, hatred, rage, and deceit, in places where it had not previously existed. Like it was spreading like a disease, right? Through all they came in contact with. And so there are many who willingly took part in this unjust energy, who are because they willingly and knowingly took part in it. It's like the sea became a sea of karma, right? It became a sea of, it was like a blackness that had been spreading, right? And so, though not all those who had been enveloped in this blackness were the source, but it's like because the disease had spread so thick and they took part of it willingly, they get kind of dragged under, um, with the turning of this wheel. You see, you have been organizing your light codes into alignment with your original divine blueprint to be able to step into this new timeline, to hold a higher resonance and frequency within you. This has allowed you to transcend the old timeline. And while some may confuse transcendence with denial or escapism, true transcendence means you have been there and done that. It's not your first rodeo. You have faced and accepted these energies, the energies others have denied and rejected. You've processed the emotions without judgment, and it's like you've processed what some avoid and run from, carrying the condemnation with them, right? Because they haven't gone through the processes inwardly, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And so they carry that condemnation, that judgment within them. Now, you, this collective, walking away from that, has found and created love where love did not exist. And this leaves many, it's like being confounded in disbelief. So I feel like some of you may have people around you who are in just total disbelief at who you are, that you have come out and said and shown, this is who I am. And it's almost like a shock and awe that people can't believe from where to where you came, right? From, if I looked back at, 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, you are a completely different person inside, right? And those who knew you back then would have never guessed, like this walking away, this entrance into this new timeline, into these new passions, these new desires, stepping into this purpose. No one in a million years would have ever guessed that this would have come about. This is a balance. It's an alignment of light within you that has activated a level of manifestation that requires a delicate balance. And a delicate balance within the heart, which leads to the ascended heart. And that's where we get that transcendence energy from. Now, these experiences that brought along this growth, that brought along this inward journey, these experiences activated your intuition on a deeper level because you had to go within and seek guidance from the unseen realms to find your answers, to see what the natural eyes could not see. And this may have taken a while for you to find your footing, whereas you may have gone through moments of doubt, and these doubts may have had you lingering in the energies a bit longer because we all want that tangible evidence. There's a space, there's a step in this path where we stop and we have to break through that glass ceiling of needing to have evidence that what we know within is real, is true. So it's very much, how do I explain this? It's almost like a conspiracy theorist, right? Where you come up with this truth and somebody says, well, give me tangible evidence, give me proof. And what you have for proof are the changes that have taken place in you, are the knowings that you know within. And there is no tangible proof, right? And so people may say, oh, well, that's just all in your head. That's all in your imagination. You need to come down out of the clouds. Like, you know, it's that kind of energy. And so we have to, that final leap of faith is breaking through that glass ceiling of having to have that tangible evidence to show. All right. Now, the thing is, the disease that had spread so far and so wide, it's like, I wish I could describe what I see in my mind's eye sometimes. I wish I was a painter or an artist, but it's like the sea that had turned black, and you are the light in the center of it. Okay. And for you to remain there meant that when the wheel turned, you would have been caught up in the karmic energy of it all, right? So that wheel of karma needed to turn. It's almost like you being there, it may have felt slow, it may have felt like lingering or having that moment of pause, make sure you were doing the right thing. But at the same time, it was delaying that wheel from turning. So it wasn't until you stepped out of it, until you broke through that need for evidence, that need for tangible proof, that the wheel turned, right? Now, so in these moments of doubt, you were guided to take a leap of faith, not having all the answers, not seeing justice come to light, because you were being moved out of that energy. And it was that leap of faith that activated that wheel to turn. And Spirit saying, don't look back because you are so close. Don't doubt yourself. Destiny has arrived and you are being guided to use your newfound skills, your heightened intuition to guide you into potential and endless potential as you step into your purpose. And one of the things that they were showing me is that 2025 is going to need that fine balance, that alignment, those with the that have had their heart recalibrated, right? That recalibration of the heart that you went through, because 2025 will continue to reveal, right? Those that are not authentic. And when I heard this, it brought me back to this process. It's like if I look back at, the last 7, 8 years, even in the beginning, my eyes were opened to those people, places, things that were not serving my highest good, that were acting as stumbling blocks or as a sort of bondage. And those showed up in real, tangible manifestations. I mean, it was blatant in front of my face. I had proof if there was anyone standing around, right? I could say, here, this is proof that this person, place, thing is causing my block. And so because I had the validation of those around me, it was easy to say, okay, now I'm blocking that. I'm cutting that out, right? So we go through this stage of all those things that we can see, feel, hear, touch, smell, taste, all these things, right? We can let them go. And it felt difficult at that time, but little did we know, because the next stage of the process was going to be digging up the roots, those things that are not seen above ground, right? That we were going to have to go in and pull the roots out. If you cut down a tree and you leave the roots, another tree will form, right? That's why people, they go in, they drill out the stump or they pull out the stump and try to get all of the roots. So there was a process or a phase of having to go underground, discover where the roots were, and pull those roots out. All right. Because possibly they were dead or they were corrupted or, they were choking out, other trees or other plants from growing. There was so much root competition beneath our ground that whatever did grow, it was just, there was so much competition for the nutrients, for the light, for the water to come through. And this is a journey that manifests for me quite physically because we actually bought a lot of land that had it was nothing but standing deadwood. It hadn't been lived on in, over 7, 8 generations. I mean, hundreds of years. And so we learned in doing this that, yeah, we had to pull those roots up because they would just grow another forest that was in competition for the nutrients, right? And that can be a difficult stage. It can feel very difficult in that time, because if you think about it, you're digging below the soil, you're getting dirty, there's mud, there's roots everywhere, and when it rains, you're losing your boots in the mud, I mean, it's just a thick, heavy energy. And once we get those roots out and we start to grow grass and plant our shrubs or our rose bushes or flowers, we breathe this sigh of, wow, I've done it. I've done it. We're here, right? And little did we know that yet there was another layer beneath the roots. And that this layer was the darkest and densest of the layers. Because all of a sudden, the plants that had been planted were dying. They were growing stunted. Something was still draining their resources. Something was still draining their energy. You see, while all these roots grow underground and in this thick forest, when a lot of these heavier energies die off, there is a process of decomposition. And those nasty little creatures that we come up on when we dig into the ground, like the grubs and the worms and things like that, right? And sometimes we can use them for fishing bait. Down south where I grew up, you could put anything on a hook and go fishing. But while they served a purpose in helping decompose all that dead, now there's new. And we don't want that being eaten. We don't want that being decomposed, right? But if we don't remove that layer of those little creatures that do nothing but thrive on roots, everything we plant and try to grow will eventually be drained and die. And so we discover that there is this deeper layer where we find those energies that really no one else sees. That people can walk in and say, but everything is looking beautiful. Everything is looking great, right? But that beneath it all, there's a reason why your rose bush didn't put out so many blooms. It may have bloomed, it may have looked beautiful. The trees that were still standing may have spread their branches and grown a few more leaves, but there was something under the ground that was still draining the life out of them. And so you dug deeper and deeper to find those grubs. And when you got down there were so many grubs that it wasn't just treating a little 5 or 6 foot area in life where you could contain it remove them and not have any of the other ground affected, right? Any of the other seeds that you are planting, right? The new life that is coming forward. These grubs covered a vast amount of area, and it could have felt overwhelming. It could have felt like, oh my God, I never saw this. I never imagined that this was possible. And it may have been that revelatory tower moment where it just blew your mind at the process of it, at how the elements come together, and the delicate balance that is required in order to support new life, right? So I see that layer is like that blackness that had spread, that corrupted energy of deceit and manipulation, that envy, that strife. It had just spread so thick, right? When you discovered that pulling your energy back, right? That pulling back those resources, pulling back those roots, gave those grubs no more to feed off of. That was the moment you knew you had to walk away. You had to remove the resources. You were the resource. Your light was feeding the very thing that would drain and suck the life out of your new seeds, out of your new creation. And Spirit came through and said, when heaviness comes in, right? When heaviness begins to come into the body, to literally, if you must, lay down and rest and know that you are safe, you are guided, you are in the flow. Okay? Now, protection. This protection has even blown my mind. Like, I know how protected we are in our life when we follow our heart, when our heart guides our ego. But I'll give you this example of protection. So I have these candles. They're like 8-hour candles. They're thin. They're probably the diameter of like a 50-cent piece, right? Or if you took your index finger and your thumb and put them together and made a circle about that big around, right? And they stand about 7 inches or so tall, and they're wrapped with a wax paper with a little intention on front of them, like an affirmation. And I have burned these candles. I can't tell you how many of these candles I've burned. I've burned so many of them throughout the years. I've never once had an issue with one catching fire or, not burning fully. Like, I mean, they've been wonderful candles. They're my favorite. I always keep a really good stock because I even give them to visitors when they come, And they are infused with a Reiki energy, right? So they're infused with this loving intention. Some of them from the angels, some from ascended masters, Some are infused with just pure joy, and I love those candles. I mean, they just really brighten up the energy. The intention, just burning that intention, really lifts the energy in the home. So I've enjoyed them for many years. And here recently, not too long ago, I lit one of these candles in my office while I was doing one of these readings. And after I finished up the reading, I had felt so energized, right? That and excited. And my husband and I decided, well, let's go out and have lunch, right? We'll go out, take a ride, have lunch, just talk about things, whatever. When I came home, I realized that I had left the candle burning. Now, where this candle was burning is on a little marble coaster, or not a little marble. I don't know what that stuff. It's like a stone coaster. It's not marble. I don't remember the material it's made out of, but it's a stone coaster. And the coaster itself is pushed up against the wall, and the candle was sitting in the center of it. Now, this happened to be the candle for the angelic frequencies. And when I came in, and this is the craziest thing, because right next to the candle is a little jade angel who has a real white peacock feather. Now, these peacock feathers, if you put a spark to them, they're going to go up, poof, like nothing. So all this was literally right up against my wall, right there next to this peacock feather. And when I came in, the candle itself had burnt completely down. The paper, the wax paper that had been around it, had burnt to a complete ash. There was no smoke stains anywhere on my wall. The peacock feather wasn't even singed. Now, in another day, in another age, in another energy, that would have caught fire. My wall would have caught fire. The tablecloth, the covering that sat over the table would have caught fire. The feather would have caught fire. Something would have caught fire. Nothing but the candle and the wax paper was burned, and it was all in a nice little pile on top of that little 4x4 coaster. In that moment, I knew protection. In that moment, I saw it with my eyes. It was as if a spirit was emphasizing the protection that we have, the protection that exists within this light, within this new understanding, within this new timeline. And it made me realize that, wow, this is why when these readings come through, Spirit is always saying, you have protection, you have security. They're always reconfirming that. And I realized that in that reconfirming, it was like I hadn't been saying it enough, or to a degree where it was really going to hit home just how magnificent that protection is, to what degree, to what scale we are protected. It was really an eye-opener for me. Obviously, I'm not going to continue leaving candles burning that way. That was a first for me. And I am so grateful for that symbolic message. But I wouldn't do it again. And in this reading, Spirit is also emphasizing that protection. They're showing that there is not just a level of success that is coming in through these newfound passions, through stepping into this purpose, right? This divine purpose, this divine, this higher resonance timeline, this higher frequency. But this is a protection that carries on throughout the rest of your life. It's like them really not wanting you to worry about what harm may come, because we are being called into a place where we will be peace when no one else is. Because, see, having that wheel turn, right? Having justice come in, it's not, that is that tower moment for those energies. It is that moment that is designed to drive them to go within, right? So there is a collective who is about to have their own revelation, their own awakening. Do you see? And this can feel as though things around us are still chaotic, that there's others who are in this energy. And it's for us to be at peace, because as we come into our purpose, we begin to show the way. We are no more standing in that energy where we're trying to shout or scream or demand that people see what we see or know what we know, or to trust that what we're saying is true. We've moved past that place of needing validation. We've moved past that place of needing to physically see, touch, smell, hear, right? That change. We know that the change within us changes the atmosphere around us also. And so we can move forward in that. And it's our moving forward and stepping into our passion, stepping into our purpose, following our spirit's guidance, no matter how crazy it seems, that shows the way for those who have that veil still, that will be coming into that awakening. And at the same time, it can be perceived as almost a karmic justice, right? So if there were injustices that occurred where you lingered a bit because you wanted to see that justice come about, you wanted to see that karma come about, breaking through that need, finding that peace within, and taking that step and activating that wheel. It's like it's it serves a double purpose, right? It's that polarity, it's that energy of the polarity of where we could look at it as though that's karmic justice, or we could see it as though it is an awakening for the very ones that we loved, the very ones that we poured our heart into, the very ones who deceived us, right? That through our healing, through our journey, our path, through our leaps of faith, through following our passion, stepping into our purpose, showing the way, it is their karmic justice to see us rise on one end of the scale. But on the other end of the scale, in the ascended heart, there's no need for them to receive karmic justice. There is only the desire that they awaken, right? And this is that awakening. Your ascension is that awakening. And this is why so many are being called to come forward, to speak their truth, to show their light. Because those energies need to see it. We remember where we came from. We honor that path from a place of darkness and judgment and condemnation and thievery and whatever you want to label it with. We remember. And to heal, we hold no judgment there for ourselves, and we rise from that. And then we realize it is to hold no judgment for those little roots that were under the ground, no matter how deep they went or how far they spread, and to hold no judgment for the grubs, because we see their purpose and the process of decomposition, right? It's like Spirit is saying, go forth in faith, knowing who you are, sharing your voice, sharing your vision, sharing your light. Let the world see you rise. Someone has to show the way of hope for those who are awakening, to be that beacon of light in the dark. And some may be in this space of it's like, okay, I'm ready, but what do I do, right? How do I do that? And Spirit saying, try something different, right? Because you're not who you were. So the ways of moving and thinking and speaking and acting and creating are not going to be the same. Don't be afraid to be different. Show that different way. Bring forth the strange sounds, the strange sights, the strange feelings, the unknown, the never having experienced before. Those moments, that energy, do it in faith. You're protected to a degree that is literally still blowing my mind. um, I just, it's, it's eye opening. It's expansive. And, you know, there's there's also an energy of, when we walk away from these things, these people, these places, these experiences, there's that lingering energy, that's behind us. It can feel like someone being at your back, or we might imagine people judging us um, for who we are now, who we've become. Um, and there may be a bit of worry that, well, there's darkness out there, there's this heaviness out there. And spirit is saying, do not be afraid. I think that's one of the reasons why they're really stressing and emphasizing the amount of protection that you have, because the moon is bright when it doesn't avoid the night, right? We shine our light the brightest in the darkest nights. And to do that, to turn up our light to that level, there's has to be this knowing that there is no harm that will come, right? And so I feel that's the emphasis on the protection from spirit, because they're showing me guaranteed success and renewal. So it's like I hear what you lose or have lost will come back, but in a bigger way, right? So those treasures that we thought we lost or walked away from, or that were stolen or whatever, they may have felt precious to us. They may have felt valuable to us in that time. But Spirit is saying those were so small. They didn't match your value. Your value is so much greater than that. It's like those times. I don't know if any of you have, like, I know in my younger years, I would get so hungry that I would eat anything, a piece of pizza that had been laying out on the sofa, or not on the sofa, but on the counter all night. You get up, you're starving. Now, on any other day, I would not eat a piece of pizza that had been laying on the counter all night. But when I was hungry enough, it was the best food I'd ever had in my life. you know, it, but it didn't match the value. It didn't match the hunger. It just kind of satiated it a little, right? So these things that we think we've lost or that we think have been taken from us, these experiences, these they didn't match our value. We now see how valuable we are. And Spirit is saying there's going to be a realignment where this karmic, this wheel of fortune, right, turning in our favor, this justice coming in and turning this wheel in our favor is going to bring in that alignment to our more true value. So those things you thought you lost will be restored, but at a greater value, one that equals your weight, right? Um, yeah. Continue to allow yourself to be drawn by what you love. Continue to allow your heart to guide your ego, right? Um, to love without expectation. It's that energy that is carrying you down this meandering path. And it's going to bring in that renewal, that restoration. You're in manifestation fields, right? This is what I'm hearing. I don't know, never heard that before. But you're in this field of being able to bring in manifestations of a higher frequency, a more pure energy. Um, and it's activating, it's like an earth activation. It's activating those elements of earth, fire, wind, rain, spirit. It's like bringing all of these into alignment. Let's see. Congratulations is what I hear. Congratulations. That this is true justice, that you walking into this light of who you are, knowing your value, knowing your worth, is going to bring about the manifestation, the renewal, not just the manifestation, it is a renewal. So it's like what you thought you had, you're about to have bigger. What you were dreaming, allow your mind, your heart, your emotions to let go of any expectations because this is so much bigger than you've dreamed, right? So it's going and buying a ticket to the lottery and expecting, that, oh, I'll win a couple $1,000 maybe right off a Powerball, and you win the whole thing. you know, like this is the energy that I'm getting, and to have fun, to really go forward in that place of peace and joy, and to have fun, to not carry this weight of seriousness forward, that it doesn't have to be so serious. That yes, we have our routines, we have our schedules, we have, you know, these things that we organize so that they're easily accessed, and they make our day flow smoother, but to have fun. I'm seeing someone open the curtains and looking outside, and it's like expecting to see the bright rays of the sun. And when the curtains are pulled back and the sun comes shining through, it shines through with all these magnificent rainbow colors. They're sparkling colors of blues and pinks and purples and bright sparkly rainbow colors coming in. This is a new beginning, that make this your creative endeavor. Let this be the making of your imagination. So, those lower chakras where we get that raw life experience, that raw passion, and creativity, and we bring it into a purpose, and we're asked to take that step, that leap. Take it with joy, take it with excitement for what is to come. Create with that energy, that spontaneity. Allow it to flow through you, because where some feel they're building homes, they're building castles, is what I'm hearing. You incarnated to free yourself from suppression, and you've done it. You've freed yourself from it. The moment you took that leap, the moment you walked away and put it behind you, the moment you stopped worrying about he said, she said, they did, the moment you latched on to that light within you and said, this is who I am, this is where I'm going, it changed everything. It changed everything. I'm sorry about that. Forgot to put my phone on do not disturb. So continue holding that love in your heart. Continue taking those steps forward, and it does take action, right? There's been a couple readings where the message has come out that the way forward begins to appear when you take a step. So as you step forward, the way appears. You've made it through the worst. The worst is behind you. This is a time where you will be peace, joy, when no one else around you is. This is a way that will reveal those who will value and see and recognize the light within you. It is a energy of purity, innocence. Hmm. Hmm. And there's guaranteed success. This is guaranteed success at whatever this creative endeavor is, whatever this new venture is. whatever this new beginning is for you, your true value is so much greater than anyone ever dreamed it could be. And as you walk down this meandering path, that value is going to manifest all around you. That's why you had to get rid of the roots. That's why you had to get rid of the grubs that were eating the roots. And your soul family will be there to welcome you. It's not, I feel an energy of, it's like walking into a room and when you walk in, there are people there who see your light, never having seen your face before, perhaps, but they see your light, the light in your heart, and they welcome you with love, with gratitude, with a congratulations that you made it. It's like a welcome home energy. It's like finding that place of togetherness, oneness, unity, belonging. And it's such a beautiful energy. And if I tap into it too much, I'll start crying on all of you because I love that energy. It is true love, it is true gratitude, but this is coming through from a multitude, a collective. So it's like what some might perceive the father felt when the prodigal son returned home, right? He was so filled with joy and so excited that it became a celebration, a feast for many. And it's like walking into this and being enveloped in this acceptance, in this love, in this gratitude, just for being the light you are, just for having made it to that doorway, just have, just for having showed up and shown your light. Mm. You will have the resources you need. You will have the resources you need. The security, the stability. This is that long-term foundational legacy energy that I'm feeling. Hmm. It's like for every root that was dug up, there will be a golden root. It's like leaving that karmic family tree and walking into the divine family tree. Because I'm seeing the roots now growing in as like a golden light under the soil. Wow. Yeah. There is an activation here. It is an activation that will bring a greater light to how the elements work within us. And it's an activation of earth element. So how those earth elements within us manifest physically outside of us, it is bringing those heart's desires into manifestation where people can feel, taste, touch, see, right? If anyone ever doubted your value, you're manifesting that value, and it is going to be greater than anything you have imagined. That's why Spirit is telling us to continue to move forward without expectation or attachments to an outcome, to know that as you move forward in this place of joy, in this place of passion and purpose, that these things are manifesting. You're not building houses, you're building castles. It's really quite beautiful. So I don't know how much sense any of this made. Gonna stop it here. Yes. Yeah. I think I'm I think I think we're good. So I'll stop this here. Wanted to just thank you all again for stopping by, sharing your energy, joining me here today. And I look forward to doing another reading. We have a few little storms coming through our area, so it's going to get a little hectic, but everything will be fine. We have that protection. I stand in that. I know that with every ounce of who I am. And if anyone would be interested in joining a community of people who are on this journey, um, I will have the link dropped in the description box below. And I will leave you all in love and gratitude. Peace.